You guys will remember that about a week ago, we talked about the leaked X-Men Avengers Doomsday trailer, to which my comment section was flooded with people saying, John, you're so stupid. That's a fake AI thing. To which I said, no, this is really the thing. Then no, you don't know anything. It's a fake AI. Well, that fake AI thing is now playing in theaters. Once again, in front of Avatar.
And I saw
Fire and Ash.
In its glorious IMAX size. It was amazing.
You saw it in its full. I still haven't seen it on a big screen.
Me neither.
Still have not seen it.
I literally just went into Avatar to watch the trailers. I grabbed a cup of coffee at the concession. Went in. It was like 9 a.m. Watched the trailers. Watched the Odyssey one. And then left.
And then there you had it. But I did finally get to see it in its pure non-potato, pure HD, glorious goodness. And I thought, even though we talked about a week ago, now that all of you guys have had a chance to see it, I thought we'd go over it again. First of all, I mean, just going through the X Mansion, hearing those words from Magneto, death comes for us all. You know, and that line that he says, the question is not, what does he say? The question is not how will you face it or whatever, but it's who will you be when you close your eyes?
Yes.
Right.
Oh man, that line is so good. Kind of like Charles quoting the once and future king, kind of little reminiscent of that. Then of course the two of them playing chess together.
Yeah.
Which is like, I think Magneto and Charles playing chess together is probably the most iconic imagery of that whole era of X-Men. I think that pretty much sums it up. It is an idea, a picture of the two of them playing chess, which is great. Of course, ending on that amazing shot of Cyclops, who apparently James Marsden is finally going to get his due as Cyclops, tearing off the visor and letting loose the full power of an actual optical blast with clearly Sentinels walking behind him. Or it could be Ant-Man in his giant form. Who knows? But I'm assuming it's probably Sentinels. Yeah. I mean, that image is just pure breathtaking.
That's a poster.
Yeah, that's a poster I would hang on my wall. Absolutely. But then, of course, for me, those of you guys who watch this show for any period of time, you know, my all-time favorite comic book character, not MCU character, not movie character, my all-time comic book character favorite is Magneto. Because he's such a multi-dimensional character. There's so many layers to him. And the fact that he's an absolute badass and one of the most powerful beings in the world. And the way he's manifested and brought to life by Ian McKellen is just beautiful and fantastic. And knowing what we know, we're going to get some dandy Magneto action in this movie, boys and girls, which is like pure spiritual Viagra for my soul. I am so excited about this. And again, watching this, we saw the trailer like a week ago in the little leaked version, but to see it in its full beauty just takes it to the next level. I said it before, I'll say it again, Rob. Out of the ones that we got, the Steve one, the Thor one, this is the one. Like this is the one. This is easily the best of those three that we've had so far. I'll even say best out of the four. We'll talk about the fourth in just a few minutes. But I absolutely loved it. I loved it even more watching it in its full HD glory. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, PrizePicks. Whether you're starting a new routine or making player picks for the very first time, trying something new can be tough. But on PrizePicks, it just feels great when your sports takes are right. With big playoff matchups happening every weekend and elite hoops action almost every night, the action never really stops, and PrizePicks lets you take control. Ann and I both tried out PrizePicks a while ago, and we were honestly surprised by how simple it was to get started. I put my first lineup together in just minutes, and it genuinely made watching the games with my friends more fun because we were following our player projections all night, cheering for more or less. And there's a couple of features I really love. PrizePicks now has early payouts, so if your player gets off to a hot start, you can have the option to cash out before the game even finishes. And the new social feeds feature lets you share your PrizePicks with friends or even copy winning lineups with one click. Plus, if you like flexibility, you can choose Flex Play, or if you want the biggest potential prizes, go with Power Play. So download the PrizePicks app today and use the code Campea to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Campea to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. Anyway, Rob, You had a chance now to see this thing in its perfect form. What's your takeaway from it?
Well, as somebody, I produced special features for X-Men and X2, the original DVD releases, and those features have been ported over. I've been an X-Men fan my whole life. They're for me, the way I love Star Trek, I love the X-Men. So to see this and to see, here's the thing. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has done the best job at making costumes for these characters. All the uniforms have been exemplary. But to see Cyclops in that Jim Lee, X-Men 1 or whatever, the California style suit that is Jim Lee created, to see it realized by those artisans over at Marvel perfectly. Like, I'm looking at that. Of course, I thought Hot Toy, yes. But just to see that on screen, that's the X-Men animated, costume for Cyclops. And to see that classic, it's like Berserker Rage with Wolverine. It's Hulk Smash. But to see Cyclops unleash his optic blast, and he's not just kind of unleashing it. I mean, that's full on. He's taking it to 11. And to see that, and to hear, of course, Ian McKellen's voiceover, which, let's face it, we did see Ian McKellen as Magneto before we saw him on screen. It was a little bit, like 6 months before we saw him as Gandalf.
Right.
But to have him be Gandalf, actually, it was 6 months. It was more than that because it was X-Men was 2000, Fellowship was 2001, so it was a year and a half later. But to have that 1-2 punch of Ian McKellen as Magneto and then as Gandalf, I mean, Magna Gandalf, whatever you want to call it, it's all of that. It's all of that gravitas in his voice at the end. And he ain't going out like a bitch.
No, he's not.
He's not. And I mean, we're going to see everything we've ever wanted to see. I mean, the X-Men were, I would call them budgetarily challenged. X-Men 1 did not have a huge budget, comparatively speaking. Now they pretty much have a limitless budget to show whatever we want to see. And we're going to see it. But John, I think, what this again did? It's a tone. This movie has gravitas. And what we want from our superhero movies is not goofiness, because we take them seriously. And I think the very best fantasy doesn't mean that we can't have humor, because the MCU has always had humor. But ultimately, at the end of the day, these characters are taken seriously. And in Thor: Love and Thunder, Thor was not taken seriously. And to bring it back to that Shakespearean, more of that Kenneth Branagh vibe, like we saw in the woods when he's praying to the Allfathers, that's what I want to see. I think that's what everybody wants to see. That's what Infinity War and Endgame were. They gave us that, and I think we've now seen 3 trailers that establish these legacy characters. They're all coming back in a film that is not going to make fun of them. It's not going to take the piss out of them. It's going to present them the way we've always wanted to see them. And I don't think that's nostalgia bait. I think that's somebody understanding what it was that they had with the MCU, and they're putting it back to the way it's supposed to be.
Well, it's also just good storytelling. Like if you have a good story to tell, then pulling the characters that serve that story and will become the creative engines that make the story go, that's not nostalgia. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with nostalgia. Nostalgia is just like any other tool in a director's belt. It can be used well, it can be used badly. I'm hoping what this movie does, it harkens us back to a long era of the MCU, because a lot of people are idiots and treat like humor like a dirty word in comic book films. And that's nonsense. That's absolute nonsense.
Absolutely.
When you go back to the best MCU stuff, it was always when it had that balance.
Yeah.
And if you look at, the Russo brothers stuff, you go in, or even go back before that, go to the original Avengers movie, right? Like, some heavy duty stuff is being talked about, and out of nowhere, Captain America, I understood that reference. Yeah. Little things like that, all of them have. You go back to the Kenneth Branagh Thor, where it's your more Shakespearean, but even that was another. It's that balance of
and I
humor
still laugh
with
at
the
that
series.
scene.
And that's
scene.
That's genuine character-based
Yes.
humor,
Yes.
situational humor that's genuine. And
Yeah.
like, look, the On Your Left scene in Winter Soldier, which was the Russo brothers' first foray into the MCU, became humorous when he said "on your left" like the third time, and Sam's like,
come
come on, man, and then paying it off it's that kind, and that humor and gravitas is what made the MCU what it was. And they're showing this, they're giving us that. Even Magneto giving the platitudes has that little air of it's entertaining. And as we know, the entertainment on this movie is off the charts.
Right. Now, so far with their marketing, they're going more serious tone, both with the Steve stuff in a happy but more serious. The Thor one was clearly more serious. This X-Men one is definitely serious.
Yeah.
So they're kind of going that way, but we are a year away from the film. We're going to see the full breadth of it. You know, they just need to avoid the mistake of Thor Love and Thunder, which had the balance, I think the balance in Ragnarok, and then they lost that balance.
Well, look,
Yeah.
and
even
it kind of became, as long as they don't do that, I think they'll do well.
I'm not worried. Look at more recently Thunderbolts. Great humor in that.
Yeah,
Great
yeah.
example of heavy themes and good humor at
Yeah.
the same time. Yeah.
But as we know, I mean, what I love about this film is the scope of it is just enormous, and the
Yeah.
stakes are enormous, and what we're going to see is stuff we've never seen before, and I'm excited for the experience of it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What did you think about this now officially out in all its full perfect picture HD glory of this X-Men Avengers Doomsday trailer? Again, just a tiny little tease, but man, the imagery we got in it is pretty damn spectacular. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.